Premier League. Just having a lot of fun casting these games. The last one was very exciting. Kind of unexpected how it ended up turning out, but just really, really solid play across the board. Made it one way or another. But just a real quick mention before we get on into the game. If you guys are enjoying the commentary, enjoying the teams themselves, what have you, then you can check out the PremierLeague.eu. It has links to Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all these different ways where you can stay on top of what's going on at the Premier League, and make sure that you're kind of connecting with us more directly. You can follow and the stream itself, whatever you want to do to be able to check in on more games. We generally stream Sunday through Thursday at 20 o'clock Central European Time and currently 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So hopefully you guys can join us for future matches. But without further ado, let's jump on into Game 2. Alrighty then, so we are looking at this best of 3 series between Fnatic and TeamLiquid. It is going to be going on in Game 2. TeamLiquid, almost by the skin of their teeth, with the Divine Rapier pickup on the Gyrocopter, moving on into Game 2 with a 1-point advantage. So we'll see how it plays out from there. Yeah, really, really nice action from them thus far. We do see the bans right off the bat taking off the Magnus, also the Lifestealer. To note, we do have a first pick this time around, I believe, for Fnatic, so that is going to be the case here, and you will see they actually go for the Wisp first pick, which is really, really interesting. It really adds in a lot to the lineups here. It pretty much makes it extremely dynamic, extremely high global presence, but in turn, TeamLiquid knew what they were getting into. They have the Keeper Light and the Darkseer available. They start off with the Darkseer pick, and we'll see how they kind of decide to draft a team from there. Could go for something like a Nature's Prophet or a Disruptor. Fluff loves to play Disruptor, and it helps a lot against that Wisp gank early on, so that's going to help them out very, very much as they move on forward. We do see the Keeper Light does come on through. Really, really solid in a couple of different ways, but one specific one in countering the global strat is the idea that you can actually use the recall to pull somebody into the fray so that you can always have an extra body there. As long as you get the spirit form off, get enough time before the stuns come a-flying, that you can get that recall on through, you can actually counter gank this rather effectively. So we'll see how that plays on into it. But the Chaos Knight is going to be picked up. Fnatic not playing around with their draft. They want to make sure they have that synergetic carry to coincide with the Wisp. And as I was saying, that Nature's Prophet also going to come out. So making sure they have a huge amount of global presence. They, at minimum, have 3 people anywhere they want on the map at any given time. But what do you think of the draft so far, Vic? No problem, but it is pretty interesting so far with Darkseer. Probably going to go on the off lane, setting up Keeper Light to go up top here. The question is, to what end? What carry are they going to be fueling on into the mid game with a lot of lane presence through Illuminate push, through Chakra Magic, Restoration, and Sustain? One way or another, it's going to have to be a beefy hero if it's going to survive against this much gank potential.
Reserve time.
Alrighty then, so beyond that, I definitely think that the Trixie is going to be looking for his signature Nature's Prophet. Really great player in that regard. He ganks very, very early on, whether he's laning or jungling. He finds opportunities, just small timing windows where that you just need a couple more right clicks, and he's there for you. Sends in a TP, maybe a Sprout, and can net a lot of kills early on to make their laning phase just as dominant as their mid game. Alright, so beyond that, we are waiting on TeamLiquid's next pickup here. The Phantom Lancer is going to come on through. So we do have the Keeper of the Lancer alongside his buddy, the Phantom Lancer. And those two just make such a powerful lane. It's hard to ignore. A lot of people think it's a little boring right now because it's very common. The reason it's common is because it works. It's amazing at what they can accomplish with this hero combination. And if you can get tons of Chakra Magic, Phantom Lancer spams out those lances, gets a ton of farm, and actually controls the lane nicely. From there, what can you really accomplish against them? You have to gank him early and actively, and Fnatic does have the right lineup for that, with like Dust on the Nature's Prophet, but the question is whether or not the PL will be able to avoid that as much as he needs to. If TC will be able to play as carefully, despite the fact that they're up against 3 global heroes.
Dire team ban.
Alrighty then, so beyond that we do see the Shadow Demon banned out along with that Storm Spirit. That's going to make it pretty interesting pretty quickly. Fnatic not wanting to give away that kind of dynamic hero potential. And we do see the Shadow Demon would be something Team Liquid would love to reinforce their lanes with. Keeper Light, Phantom Lancer, Shadow Demon together make for an amazing aggressive combo. Can push lanes pretty aggressively, can lock down somebody that tries to contest the lane, and from there it makes it so that Fnatic almost can't do a 3v3. But with the Shadow Demon off the table, we'll have to see if Team Liquid picks up just as dangerous of a support. Could put Mike on the Keeper Light, pick up something like a Visage. Could be very powerful as well, now that Fluff pretty much hasn't had any heroes banned out. So that's going to be pretty much it. It looks like actually Fnatic is going to be looking into picking that up himself, so that's going to be pretty interesting. I'm going to deal with one thing real quick, and then we'll proceed on through. So that is pretty much what we're looking at with the bans of the Ancient Apparition, the Bounty Hunter, and the Lone Druid. That is just so much potential with off-lane survivability that Team Liquid didn't want to have to deal with. Trixie is generally the off-lane player, but it's pretty much they don't really have that potential where they can jump on into it. It looks like Vikrman is going to have to sit out for this one here. I had a little bit of an issue getting on into things, so I'm just going to be doing a solo cast for this one. Kind of caught me off guard there, so that's why I was a little bit distracted. But now, refocusing and making sure that you guys are well set to jump on into this next one nicely. We do see, let's see, Lone Druid and the Bounty Hunter are great offlane heroes, so they expected Nature's Prophet to lane in the go in the jungle instead. They expected kind of a lane situation where they were looking for another solo, and definitely would have been something they could work with nicely. The Lone Druid was instrumental in putting out pressure early on. It didn't pan out for them in the long game, but it was still a pretty solid thing. But like I said, without any fluff heroes banned out, the Enchantress is on the board. They can lane with the Coddle Phantom Lancer, the Enchantress can gank and roam, and they can push like crazy as well. Ion Shell, Illuminate, Nature's Attendants, the Enchanted Creeps, so much potential there. But from that, Fnatic not only picked up Fluff's Visage, but also picking up the Tinker for themselves. They have so much potential to control lanes with Visage and to counter push with Tinker. They have an amazing lineup that I honestly didn't really think of, but I haven't seen this in any way, shape, or form, but if they get the Boots of Travels up on the Tinker, that is 4 heroes out of 5. Visage just walks into it, and he has 4 people at his back. I mean, you might need a Nature's Prophet to summon the Trance real quick with the Call of the Wild, or Nature's Call, so that you can make sure that Tinker has something to travels to. But beyond that, you have everybody where you want, and Fnatic loves these kind of global strats. They dominate with them because they're so great at coordinating, and in general, Nature's Prophet specifically knows where he needs to be, and they can going to pick up the Wisp here. We're going to see Era on his CK. From that, Syndra's actually going to be run the Visage, and of course that would leave Honey on his. The final pick though, Korok going for the Brewmaster mid. I'm curious to see how that'll pan out exactly, and I think that that's going to be really, really nice for them in the sense that they can dish out a ton of damage really quickly, and more importantly, get a lot of disables. What they want to accomplish here is making sure that they can go for big team fights early on and off with Darkseer and Brewmaster. They get to level 7 through 9, somewhere in that range, and suddenly they can dish out a ton of damage. They can do the vacuum, the wall, they can do the Brewmaster split after the clap comes on down. I mean, they have a great team fight. The issue I have with their lineup is their lack of mobility. Phantom Lancer has a bit of a boost with Doppelwalk, Keeper Light has large base movement speed, Darkseer has Surge. Until Brewmaster comes up with Blink, he and Enchantress are really, really limited in getting to the engagements, and of course I've been over multiple times over, Fnatic doesn't have that limitation. They jump on in, they have their potential to jump on with any one of these heroes. It looks like Hani is going to pick up that mid, and that'll be interesting. I definitely think this game is going to be very fast-paced, very dynamic. I'm just curious to see how it'll play out long-term. We do see Era and Synderen heading down on bottom, kind of a pseudo-dual mid with No Tail, looking to tether down this set of trees here, go for some mid pulls if possible. And if they can deny some experience from Brewmaster, from Korok, they're actually going to be able to control and break the mid-game wide open. That's going to be really, really nice for them. So once again, sorry that we didn't get my co-caster on in here. It's just going to be a solo cast from here on out. Hopefully I won't miss too much action, but I'll try to provide as good of a commentary as we did last time around. So We do see Fluff right off the bat with some Smoke of Deceit. He's going to be in full control of that situation there. Along with that, we do also have Trixie started off with that Basilius. He's actually been pooled clarities. This is interesting. 3 clarities coming out of No Tail. That's 150 of his gold on the table. He's just saying, okay, you get your farm. You find unlimited potential in the jungle to just get your Midas insanely quickly. With this much mana regen, he won't have to return back to the fountain, and as long as he doesn't get ganked, he will have extremely fast Midas, like 5 or 6 minutes, especially if you can add a kill on the board with its first teleport cooldown. So we'll see how this plays on out, but I definitely think there's going to be a lot of presence on the mid and bottom lane coming out of Fnatic. They'll seed the top lane. They'll say, okay, unfortunately we cannot contest a Phantom Lancer and keep her light, but right now with the positioning of Bulba, I'm curious if that was their intention whatsoever. We see Ike's Mike heading down bottom. We have Bulba up on the top lane. What is going on with TC up here? I mean, obviously the Keeper Light would want to try to put pressure out with the Phantom Lancer to get some more gold for him and make sure that he can stay active. It looks like they're going to have the Darkseer in the jungle. Bulba is just going to do the exact same thing that we're seeing out of Trixie. But it's kind of a dual jungle situation because Enchantress also relies on those creeps there. So we have 2 up top, 2 in the jungle to an extent, and then 1 in the mid lane. So I'm not exactly sure if this will work out very well for TeamLiquid. Right now it feels like they have pretty weak lanes, but I kind of agree that it's difficult to contest that CK Wisp combo, especially if he rolls lucky on those Chaos Bolts early on. Pawnee doing some damage back and forth between himself and Korok with the laser, just being able to deny a couple of creep kills from him inadvertently through making sure that he cannot actually stay on target. And actually doing extremely well. Tinker has a so-so projectile speed. His base damage right now with all these stats is equivalent to what Korok can hit for, but right now he's doing pretty well just based on the fact that he has that, like I said, low projectile, but he's still on the ball with 3 and 2. Comparing that to the Phantom Lancer right now, TC sitting at 4 and 4. Going to move on quickly to some bigger and better items, most likely something along the lines of a Diffusal Blade, if not just a straight Vitality Booster to survive these engages early on. No Tail down at bottom doing that pull action, and yeah, Ogre mages aren't going to be able to destroy this creep wave, so what he's going to do is go for a second pull, chain up these mud golems right on top of that, and try to deny the wave as much as possible, getting as much experience for him, and making sure that they don't have to worry about the creep equilibrium going past this position here. Up top, we do see Trixie transitioning on through. He feels confident at level 3 to be able to just take some free experience here and there. It's so experienced on this hero, and he's seeing this opportunity. He says, okay, the creep wave is pushed out here. I'll be under my tower, getting a few CS here and there, most likely just getting the best levels possible. And then 35 seconds later, he can just jump right back to where he left off, getting some damage in the jungle. And it doesn't really put pressure on TC too hard. He has plenty of tangos and salves to work with, but it's still a nice thing to have available. Oh, Shockwave onto No Tail. Kurumi Satyrs and their weird little mechanics of things. Now we do see the rune picked up by the Wisp. Of course, that was the illusion rune you saw down bottom, but more importantly, that does mean that Pawnee is gonna not really be able to pick up as much from this bottle here. He might even have to bottle Crow just to make sure that he's not taking too much harassment long-term from the Brewmaster, because whenever the Brewmaster closes on in, one single Thunderclap turns into 2 or 3 right clicks, and it kind of makes sure that he's gonna have a rough time of things. But yeah. Actually tangoing on through. I'm not sure exactly what his intentions are. Eating up, I guess using the items themselves to make sure he has the item slots available, but that's still interesting. We do see a transition in. There is an Iron Shelled Centaur. Fluff and the Darkseer, they surge it on in, going in for Honey. They're going to get this clap off. Nice combo, but he misses the stomp. Unfortunately, Centaur Khan is just going to burn him down gradually with that Iron Shell. It expires, and now they have only a few right clicks to work with here. Honey gonna drop off that March of Machines, and with the movement speed from the tether, they're actually going to be able to disengage from here. H's intended, steel healing up Fluff, but he should be able to walk away despite the long-range harassment of No Tail. So, a lot committed here, but in the end, not much accomplished. They're just going to bottle up once again on the Tinker when they get that opportunity, which should be very shortly, with the Wormelian Courier just heading on out, playing the role of the milkman here more so than anything else. Do see Tranquil is going all the way up to TC to kind of give him the same thing, the sustainability on the lane to find the last hits to get to a core item. But yeah, committing that much, leeching a little bit of experience from Korok, and more importantly, taking the mana and time of Fluff and Bulba that could have been better spent in the jungle, really limits what they were able to accomplish in this regard. Mike actually going for rank 2 Chakra, despite the fact that nobody's really casting any spells, so has that at the ready in the worst case scenario, but there's not really too many flashes. Literally, the only lane that has any potential for engagement is this mid lane here, between Hani and Korok and anybody else who intends to participate. We do see double damage picked up by Fluff, and that will deny it out from Trixie, who would have loved to be able to gank with that, would have loved to put out some pressure here and there. Either way, looking at Brewmaster's last hits, he's sitting at 16, but he's just now about to get his bottle plus boots, and that will definitely move him back towards where he needs to be in general. But we do see this push grouping up, the attack speed aura of the Centaur Conqueror raring to go with the siege creep as well. They're putting a lot of damage in here, and they should be able to bring this down past half HP. Now that Fluff is joining the fight with a Wild Wing and double damage, however, I think it's going to be the 100% to 0. They're going to take this tower to the bank and add a lot of gold for their team. So it's been back and forth very minimally with this 500 gold advantage, no kills on the board. There is a quick DC from Fluff, but the main point I'm going for is they're going to get a ton of gold out of this tower. TC looking for the last hit here. So, as I said, they are kind of slow in experience right now, Bubba and Fluff, not getting full efficiency in the jungle, but making up for it a little bit with this gold gain here from the tower kill. Down at bottom, you can't really compare. They don't have nearly as much push potential with a Visage, only at level 3. Who currently is sharing experience evenly with the Chaos Knight. We look at experience per minute, and we actually see that CK is down towards 316, and the Fluff, I mean, Cinderin's not doing it that much. He's only leached about 143 experience, whereas No Tails has been mostly independent. But you compare that to the Phantom Lancer, TC getting 405 experience right now, because everybody else has been out of the lane. It does hurt Mike a little bit, he's only sitting at level 3, but it helps TC so much with that 4.2 agi gain, and the big stats that he's going to be able to work with to survive very nicely with a drum. We do see Trixie once again TPing up to the top lane here, and he's going to have that Midas very, very shortly, I do believe. Just trying to hold the line, counter pushing a bit with the Trents, but it's in the end not going to be able to do too much to deter them. They're still going to get their right clicks on in. It won't be as efficient as they want it to be with the creeps pulling past the tower, but in the end they're still putting a huge amount of damage into it, and if they don't take it now, they certainly will take it later. Korok bottle crowing as best he can. Those are Fluff's boots now, so actually Brewmaster still doesn't have boots. What's up with that? He just now picked them up. I'm actually amazed at how poorly he's doing. He has decent CS, 21. Doesn't compare to 25 from Hani, but even so, Korok is not finding the farm he needs because he rushed the Magic Wand. I understand Magic Wand being very powerful versus Tanker, same thing with Magic Stick, but the fact that he got it before Boots of Speed seems questionable. Obviously, he doesn't need them when he's in Primal Split form, and I guess that's what he's going for, but in general, it's just a little bit odd. Nice Rune Snipe coming out of Trixie, going to be able to pick up an Invis for himself and make sure that Korok won't be able to actually get some free experience on the lane as a result of it. That is interesting. We do see treads up on the CK. Can tread switch those over to intellect to get many more spells across. He's going to move on to level 6, get another point in reality rift, and from there have huge gank potential, along with the Wisp, who is moving up now. No Tail at level 5, so close to that relocate. And when that's the case, there's going to be just hell breaking loose, really, with the Dark Horse Lord. That pretty much is quite literally. Darkseer is not anywhere near ranking up Vacuum, and for that reason he doesn't have that much counter teamfight potential. He can't counter gank and control the enemy's positioning. He can just add a little bit of extra damage here and there. But they seem to be grouping up a little bit more for like 4 to 5 man Dota. That's one of the counter actions of going up against a very gank oriented global lineup. Korok going in for the kill. He got surged all the way in next to Hani, and they can actually just pop off the ulti here or just a clap to do some huge damage. There is a ranked 4 March going across, but it's just going to do some gradual damage, whereas the Primal Split will guarantee this kill for first blood, coming out actually for Bulba through that Iron Shell. So, interesting exchange, and that is going to set them up for some damage in the tier 1 tower as well. It is a big cooldown to commit, but in general, I think they feel it's worth it with that first blood, and soon to have it with this tower kill that they're going to put pressure on. Like I said, tier 2 going to drop quickly to TC with his split push.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
So, Fluff farming up here. Let's just check out GPM across the board. We do see that mostly it's going to be coming into the Darkseer with that first blood, as well as just, honestly, the entire team has a huge gold advantage. Look at these tower kills. They're going into 2k advantage, and that's something that really makes a difference quickly. I mean, that adds up to, in total, a mechanism. Of course, that's distributed amongst heroes, but when you're getting that kind of farm on heroes like the Darkseer to get some survivability, the Phantom Lancer to get some farming utility, and other supports to just keep the wards rolling. That's going to make sure that they can kind of steamroll even further on. However, one thing to keep in mind, No-Tail picking up his relocate gank potential. If they don't go as 5, if they split up just a little bit and they have good enough wards to avoid it, that's going to make it so that the relocate ganks are really going to make them suffer. No-Tail and Era together are going to be ganking buddies, and Nature's Prophet, Trixie, will be able to follow through, just not picking up his Midas at a relatively good timing. 9 minutes is not too shabby. Could have improved it a little bit if he hadn't tried to counter push as much on the top lane, but I feel that making sure that you have the towers for as long as you have is really important. He actually was able to set it up so that Hani was able to get the deny, and denying out a tower this early on, you still get gold from it, but it's not nearly as much as they would have acquired. TC in an odd position here. Does get ganked up by that relocate gank, but they can't really follow through. Even with the Dust of Appearance, he just ran too quickly to the south. He has Tranquils, he has 15% movement speed. We do actually see that he kills the CK. The CK manned up way too hard, and I'm amazed what happened there. Era actually just dropping down too quickly from all the creeps he was tanking up. Thought that he would be relocated back, and then suddenly the Lance comes on through. Too much damage for him to deal with, and that's a free solo kill for the Phantom Lancer, who was supposed to be long gone. That is really, really crazy. Either way, we do see down on bottom that they are going to be just smoking up to push on this tier 1 tower. Actually look for a kill on Trixie, but looks like they haven't found it just yet, and instead are going to move in to this position here. Wow, I did not see that Era kill coming. Like, he was tanking creeps pretty hard, but I did not think that he would really, really stay that long in that kind of position. But in the end, he does fall. That is very, very detrimental for them, going for their first relocate of the day and instead losing their main carry instead of getting anything out of it. Really, really sucks. And now we see the tier 1 down on bottom taken, and Trixie in a pretty bad spot, but the Trents should give them full enough understanding of what they're up against here. Jumping on in, Era gets the Reality Rift onto TC, trying to burn him down. 3-second stun should secure it here. Yeah, definitely going to finish it off with the Wisp Spirit. No-Tail ranking that up pretty hardcore. So, getting that kill without picking up the Dust almost makes up for what happened last time around. But you see on this experience per minute, 522 for TC. He is in a pretty good spot as far as experience and soon to be as far as gold, since he's 514 himself. Moving in directly for that defusal now that he has the drum. TP up from Bulba, just wants to keep farm and looking for that mechanism. He does have a pretty solid gold count himself with 3830. He is actually going to be able to finish that up very, very shortly. He has the branches to start off, and he follows that up nicely with this Arcanes. He doesn't even need the Soul Ring because he also has a bottle, and that sets it up so he's got this buckler, he's got pretty much everything he needs but the recipe itself, and that's very, very nice for him. So we do see Hani farming up on these Ancients. He was stacking them up multiple times over, and although Liquid is able to get some vision through the Illuminate of the Keeper of Light, it's just not enough to force him back from this position. Still farming away. He's going to have those Boots of Travels in no time. He went for the bottle and the Soul Ring before the Boots of Travels. It's kind of a couple of different ways you can build it. Some people rush it more outright to try to get it by about the 10-minute mark or so. But by picking up this Soul Ring, he can definitely farm these Ancients more effectively, and it's making sure that they have the potential they need. Now we do see actually the Tornado giving some vision, getting some damage on Hani, and although he will still bring down these Ancients no problem at all, it is a little bit more frustrating to deal with, and it means that they have the ability to try to initiate long range. They can surge in the Brewmaster just like before, and they can actually accomplish a lot with this. Going uphill, they don't have the surge right here, looking for Hani, but he's just out of range. The Drunken Haze not enough to go on in, but they are going to go in with Trixie, Era, and No-Tail jumping on into the Primal Split immediately. He's going to try to disengage with this, and I don't think that should be that big of an issue for them. They pretty much trade 1-for-1 the Primal Split for that. Oh, nice little cheeky play there. I'm not exactly sure the purpose, but just having some fun with it, because Korok always jumps back to that Earth Panda. So he committed a lot of his mana. He committed his second Primal Split, but that was also the second relocate. So those two together, netting nothing, would generally be favorable for Liquid, but instead getting picked off. Ike's Mike, Reality Rift out of position, trying to defend down on bottom, and those kind of pickoffs just can't keep happening if Liquid is going to stay in this game. They have gotten a lot of tower kills advantage, but that's going to really change the opposite direction as this experience continues to move in for Fnatic. They have Hani farming up on Ancients, they have Trixie with that Midas, now they have the kills coming on through from the with CK combo. That adds up quickly, and now with this tower in exchange, I believe that Fnatic are really pulling themselves into an equal position here. The armlet gonna be up on the CK, and that is gonna make it extremely difficult to bring him down as effectively as they had before. Fluff going for just a push-oriented build with the Basilius and the Urn. We do see Bulba just trying to get some levels. Has a rank 2 vacuum, looking for 3, but he also has that mechanism, and that's going to be instrumental when they start just going for pretty much essentially 5-man Dota. They have that potential because they have such team fight control, and I don't think Fnatic really has much to answer back with right now. They have a bunch of long-range presence type things. They have a bunch of little mini pick-off abilities, and that's great in a lot of different ways. We do see it taking effect right here up against Ike's Mike. The clap, not enough to deter them with this relocate gank, and it comes down to these wards. Dropping these observer wards, getting that kind of vision, and Ike's Mike is just having a really bad day. So these observers going to give more and more vision to the Radiant, and Fnatic is going to make them pay for every inch of ground they try to take. So that is definitely paying off very nicely for them. But we do see TC about to close in on his Diffusal Blade, which of course increases the damage that he can output there by himself with the mana burn. Very much so. Blink Dagger up on Korok, really essential here. It allows him to dodge out of relocate ganks he sees coming, and along with that, just making sure that he can dish out a ton of damage if he can get a full, like, 3 or 4 man clap going off. It's a great initiation tool, and I think it's definitely what they need to start breaking out of that 5v5 type action. Medallion of Courage, interesting enough, on Ike's Mike. Nice armor boost for himself in the first place, but if he wants to focus somebody down like the Tinker really quick with right clicks, that definitely is a good option for them as well. Alrighty then, so it looks like that is a full Diffusal Blade coming out for TC. Super Rocket Chicken, gonna be able to deliver those to him nicely. We do see the relocate up on No Tail, but he needs a little bit more mana to work with. Magic Stick, a great utility for that, allowing him to provide burst healing through his tether to make sure that Era is safe and sound, high HP, high mana to work with, and they can keep the aggression rolling. But it's more difficult if they don't have vision, and that's what Ike's Mike is trying to negate. Dropping off the Sentry, de-warding, and dropping down an Observer of his own. That's giving more and more map control to the Liquid, which they already have substantially with the fact that all these towers have dropped. This tier 1 taking a lot of damage here. We do see a smoke coming in from the side. Curious to see how they're going to make this work. They're actually going to go in for the roast. They have Drunken Haze, rank 3, and they're kind of going for a little bit of a pocket strat where they can burn this down quickly. Trixie does have a Trent. He's immediately sending it in. This could ruin them. This Trent will give them the vision they need, and if they have an understanding of what's going on, then this roast will be completely fruitless. Yeah, pretty much the Trent comes in, the Spy comes across the enemy lines, and now they're going in for 5 versus 5. Now, I was saying before that Darkseer has that advantage. He does have mech, he does have wall, but with only a rank 2 vacuum, he has to put it perfectly. Bulba needs to be perfect with this kind of play. Now, we do see the blink coming in onto Era, starting things off. Korok needs to look for the split. He does go on through with it. It works out for him nicely, but they're pretty much just disengaging them. The relocate comes out, and it's going to be Era and No Tail out of the position. Synderin gonna be the sacrificial lamb. They just completely evade that, but right now the Roche is still in control of Liquid. They have popped off the split, but now coming right back on in. Era and No Tail, full HP, raring to go. 4 versus 5, pulling out Fluff, immediately bursting him, looking for more. Trixie dishing out some damage. The wall replica finally comes out, but Bulba can't get the vacuum on anything. And so now Era is just on the front lines, focusing on TC. They get the right clicks off. Don't get the cancel just yet. Out of range, finally lands it. And with a 3-second stun under Sentry, that is a death of the Phantom Lancer. Now looking for more. Korok on the run with the Surge. He should be fine, though. Either way, this was a big commitment to go for this Roche, and in the end, it just turns into a massacre. Liquid just dropping extremely quickly. They didn't need the Visage for that, so using the relocate, healing back up to full, and wasting the Primal Split. By doing that and making sure that they positioned themselves well against that wall of replica that came on down, they actually made it so that they could easily take that fight, and from there, just continue to use the Roche as bait. This is what happened in Game 1 for such a long period of time. Both teams are so cautious about engaging and initiating in this kind of a setting here, but with Trixie scouting And he does actually have the potential to close in on this Brewmaster here, but with the blink, it is going to be enough for Korok to escape on out. So TC dropping low, does get dusted. He will die once. The question is whether or not they can finish him the second time. That Doppelwalk not up just yet. Trixie coming on in to try to secure this kill with a 4-second stun. They might have it, but a beautiful wall and vacuum. TC falls anyways. Korok with the clap. It's just still too much. Boba gonna drop as well. The overcharge, empowering the Era to just keep it going. And with this armlet, he might dive. He's gonna dive onto Ike's Mike. He does get blinding lighted, but the 3-second stun and the laser to follow up sets them up. And now they're sitting 12-4. Tinker pulls the Keeper of Light, and Korok has no choice but to fall back. The Tier 1 tower falls as well, and Fnatic breaks this game wide open. Insane fight for them all over the place, and although the vacuum and wall replica was beautiful, it just wasn't what they needed for that to work. They needed to... I like this play, by the way. Using the overcharge to bring down No Tail's HP. He knows he's going to get full anyways. He just wants to make sure that it works twofold on Era and himself. So now he's going to pop that off in just a second. Pretty much can do it with his next tether. And then he and Era will be full HP and raring to go. But anyways, that fight was insane for Fnatic. They were all over it, perfect timing, and although the initiation by Darkseer was great, the timing of it couldn't have been worse. They didn't have the follow-up. They had a couple of guys that could dish out some damage. They tried to save the PL, who was focused and disabled, had already lost the Aegis, and from there, it was just too much for them to handle. Very, very unfortunate, and every single little bit of a foothold that goes in for Fnatic, they're going to be able to make that, just break it wider and wider open. There's really foot in the door, edging it open, and now they're actually in a position where they can control the game. They can gank like crazy and follow it up with a 5v5. This is something that you shouldn't be able to do against the Brewmaster and the Darkseer, but it seems to be working for Fnatic here. With the Visage, having the mechanism, they have a team fight, and they've been showing it off really, really nicely with the action down towards the Roche pit there. Now we do see Tinker is invisible. Trixie has that Shadow Blade himself, so the initiation potential is ridiculous here. But Fluff, for the moment, playing it very, very safe. Back in mid, Korok duking it out a little bit with Synderen. I think they could really claim these familiars, but they don't know where everybody's at, and that's pretty understandable. Tier 1 tower dropping up top. TC just looking for some free farm, finding it in the Trents. He will get some gold here and there, but he needs to move in towards something big. I really, really personally prefer the Vitality Booster, but there is still that Manta style that could give them a lot more potential. So we'll see exactly what he ends up going for.
Top tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower.
We do see that Blink and Arcane Boots up on Korok. He's ready to go with a lot of damage, long range, and initiation, but with these familiars just poking and prodding at him, it brings him down pretty quickly. Along with that, the rockets and such, Korok's already down to half HP and has to be careful how he proceeds from here. Tier 2 tower dropping too quickly. It looks like they're just going to give it away. They give away another tower, and this tower is big because now they can counter-initiate onto Fluff, burn him down insanely quickly, and there's nothing they can do about it. The deny will come on through. They get a tower kill up on a Tier 2. They get a tower deny on a Tier 1, and Era No Tail right back up top, raring to go for the next fight. And that is something that Liquid cannot afford right now. They have to hold on to this game, but the BKB up for CK, it just feels like they're just scrambling to hold on, scrambling for TC to find the farm he needs. He needs to do exactly what he did last game. Just find a little bit of patient farm here and there and find a gigantic item to change the pace of the game completely. And right now he's working on it, but it's taking its toll. I believe he's going to go for the Reaver personally, but I don't 100% know. Obviously there's a lot of different ways to build this hero here. Smoke on up. They're looking for that action. Korok blinks on out of that. Actually, no soul assumption. So, just a little bit of a blip of damage, but it would have put the blink on CD, and Korok wisely using his escape mechanism while he had the chance. 4-man Dota here, 1-man Dota down towards the Ancients TC, just finding his opportunity to farm, and I gotta say, one thing that is a problem for Fnatic is they don't have any vision on their own jungle. It seems like a no-brainer that they wouldn't, because there's no real benefit for it in general. But the fact that they are controlling this jungle so nicely, but TC is finding farm on the Ancients, finding farm on the bottom lane, finding farm in the Radiant jungle, it's something that they aren't shutting down, and they definitely need to. 10k gold up on that Phantom Lancer, and he does get that Reaver. He does go straight for that heart, and I completely agree with that. So, we do see here A little bit of skirmish back and forth, but interestingly, between these two teams, although they both play extremely aggressive styles in general, one thing that I've noted between this match and the last is the fact that they don't really want to go for full-on direct engages until they find that they have this big window of opportunity. The window of opportunity, speaking of, was on that Darkseer with that relocate gank. I believe I'm actually getting mini-map pings for the relocate. If that's the case, if it's not the case, I feel like I'm blind. But either way, they jump in. They are actually able to bring down the Darkseer very, very quickly, and that really, really sets them up nicely. 2, 1, and 11 on the Wisp. 1, 1, and 12 on the CK. The only problem with that is that Arrow's not finding the kills. He's pretty much playing support as CK in regards to those assists, but money is still going to add up pretty quickly, and in general, their team is getting a lot of farm, as you can see here. TC playing so ballsy. Only 1100 away from that heart. He just needs a little bit more, and when he can get that heart, he can actually survive against all this damage that's forthcoming, and then some, I believe. Unless one thing that changes that factor entirely is Hani picking up that sheepstick. Didn't go for the blink or the force. Wanted to make sure he had the lockdown for that PL, and now he has it. He has a huge amount of potential. They can go for a pickoff on the Brewmaster before the split comes out. They can go, if they single out the PL that's real, they can easily just perma-sheep him down before the illusions can come online. Now we do see him actually just going for the Reaver for the stats propagation, and then immediately ranking up to Defusal 2, dishing out and balancing out damage and sustainability, survivability. So he has a nice amount of health on all his illusions here, each one sitting at 1600, and then obviously taking amplified damage. Either way though, wow, those juxtaposes. TC just really creating that army quickly, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. They stay alive for an extended period of time. Looking for a relocate gank from No Tail and Era. He wants to find that opportunity, but the dewarding has been coming again from Ix Mike. There was a bunch of wards up in the enemy jungle. Now only a simple lane ward. They need to get more vision if Fnatic is going to be actually aggressive in this situation.
Dire's bottom tower is under
Sorry about that. Stream issue. Anyways, putting pressure on into the tier 2. Now we're seeing that being bursted down hardcore, and I think that that's going to be something they just have to concede. Now relocating up top, yeah, I don't get the blip for it. Either way, Fluff's going to be focused on really, really hardcore. So that is substantial. That is making sure that they can just control the map and stay on top of things constantly. Sorry for stream issues, guys. I'm trying to get in touch with Twitch about it specifically, but it's just occasionally does drop out there, and I have to figure out something to do with that immediately. But anyways, we do see the Heart of Taras coming out onto Phantom Lancer after that Defusal 2. Just needs about 900 more gold to finish that off. But down on bottom, we do see Bulba getting picked off here. That's a big stun coming out, and they're actually going to be able to make it worth it their while. Finishing him off, putting him in the grave for 40 seconds. He does not have buyback, and so that is going to make it so they can keep on pressuring this tier 3 here. That does, again, give a little bit more breathing room for TC to keep farming away, look for that heart, but for the moment, that's still going to be fully in favor of Fnatic in that exchange. Korok versus Trixie here. He does have that Shadow Blade, tons of burst with that Orchid as well, and Korok, just having used his Blink Dagger, is in a pretty sore spot. He still has tons of durability, but getting clapped up, he immediately pops a TP. Will it be enough? I don't think so. Too much damage going across, and the Orchid finishes him off in the end when it expires. Nice, nice timing for that, and I gotta say, I really liked Korok's reaction, TPing away the very second he was Orchided, but it was still just not really well worth it. He obviously did not get out of there fast enough, and one thing I gotta say is his Drunken Brawler just didn't serve him very well. 15% dodge chance, and I don't think he got a single one off, so unfortunate for him, but that's just another pick-off that they cannot afford right now. Again, the advantage just continues to move in favor of Fnatic, and it looks like I'm still having some stream issues, which is very, very frustrating for me, to say the least. But nevertheless, we do see Blink up on Hani. I'm gonna see some potential for them to just move on through with big damage output. He can jump on, get a great position for March Machines, go in for that long-range sheep initiation, and if they can get that pick up on TC, it doesn't matter how farmed he gets. If they can get sheep after sheep after sheep on this carry, he's all alone, and he really can't accomplish all this stuff by himself. Now, with that said, the Primal Split, just popping that off and then stunning or cycloning up the tanker should be sufficient for them to negate that chain of disables, but he's not the only one. Wow, that's, yes, trying the stream restart again.
is under attack.
Unfortunate, unfortunate, because this is a great game. This was really, really back and forth and interesting, and I'm really sorry that there are so many issues with this.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Anyways, we do see TC putting some pressure on in with some lances, but it's really in command and control is Fnatic with that Pipe of Insight available on the Visage, who's been Cinder's just been farming nicely. Moving up, he has only 59 CS, but he's been so active in kills and assists that he's actually been able to farm a Mechanism and a Pipe of Insight at only 28, 29 minutes in. So very, very active, very, very effective, and I think that's really the best way that they can accomplish things. It also says a lot to the Wisp that he's been picking up so many wards. No Tail has just been pretty much controlling the map by himself, essentially, which works out nicely for them because they've been able to get the pressure rolling. Vladimir soon on the Brewmaster, that'll be nice in the engages, but that's the thing that I've been kind of moving towards, is they haven't really had too many engages. TC now picking up that heart, and they might, it almost seems like Fnatic has waited a little bit too long. They have great potential with Trixie, Era, and Hani with their kind of tri-core setup, a lot of really, really key item-reliant heroes, but if they have to go up against a fully armed Phantom Lancer, it's still not an easy thing to accomplish. Going for the relocate gank up on top, looking for action onto Korok here. They do actually get the Primal Split off, but now they're just going to walk away. They take those abilities. They're like, okay, waste your ultimates, and the only one that might drop is Era, but he does get that BKB, and he survives by TPing on out. Really, really fortunate timing for Era, getting that full max duration BKB. He's just like, screw it. It is a big cooldown to waste, but using the Primal Split, using everything they committed there, they really felt like it was worth that exchange to go in and then immediately fall back. And I think it obviously paid off for them. They didn't lose a single casualty despite going in very aggressively. The one problem is, now with that relocate, and I believe Nature's Prophet Teleport, no, he has that one back up in 15. Either way, they don't have as much Roche control as they really want, and that's what Fluff's, or sorry, calling it Fluff just because it's Visage, but no, Cinderen's familiars are actually accomplishing here, providing understanding of what's going on in the pit. Holy crap. Alrighty then, so down in the pit, just keeping tabs on things. Let's just check out the gold graph. We do see 13.5. We're going to see initiation with the relocate, looking for a pick off here, looking for an opportunity to jump in on things, and they're almost finding out TC, but the problem is Arrow's the one that has to start things off. The Sprout does come on through. TC is locked, going for the stun to get a 4 full second. That is 100% dead. Trixie finishing the job here, despite the relocate expiring. Just perfect for them. Exactly what they needed in this kind of engage, and unfortunately for them, it looks like the Phantom Lancer only has so much gold to work with. He has buyback, but he is sitting on such low gold that if he uses it, he won't be able to follow up with any major items. Alright, hopefully this will be the last time I have to worry about restarting the stream. It's pretty much started having issues like last Thursday. Not until that point did I have a single problem, and now got a couple of changes from the administration and have been dropping some frames here and there. Oh, hopefully you guys will bear with us. This game is still very, very exciting, but not too much has been missed. The one big thing for those that are tuning into Twitch, there was a pickoff on the Phantom Lancer. They got the initiation with the relocates and with the Sprout from Trixie. Getting that pickoff, set them up for this Roche here, which will allow them to push in more aggressively towards the high ground. Again, the Tinker is the one on Fnatic's side, so they don't have to worry about the continuous spam of marching machines to be coming on out, and they can still look to push in against Liquid. The only thing they have to worry about is clumping up against Darkseer and taking the full force of those continuous illuminates from Ix Mike. Either way, though, Hani's actually going to go for a Dagon, at least rank 1. Had a little bit of firepower to his current action. He's just so mobile with Blink, so active with that sheep stick, so he's going to be able to dish out a lot. And along with that being said, Nature's Prophet doing kind of the same thing, looking for maybe a little bit of backdoor protection, or actually just looking to scout things out. I believe Trixie's just looking for an opportunity where Era and No-Tail can jump into the fray and help things out, but just finding his opportunity to farm down here. He'll eventually have that Desolator coming on out to him. Alrighty then, so we have the Hyperstone up on CK looking for an Assault Cross. If they can accomplish that, they can penetrate through a lot of these low armor heroes really quickly. The 7 armor on Fluff, the 8 armor on Keeper Light. So that is really, really effective, and they can really bring the pain. Actually, starting off, they pick off on Fluff here. And they're going to be looking for more against Korok. They go for the Reality Rift, get that off, and Korok will be dropping down as well with that Orchid finishing up. Just did not, unfortunately, cast his ulti. So cleaned up 100%, and Mike, out of desperation, using that Blinding Light to no avail. Just great solid play by Fnatic. They're always getting those picks, and TC actually pulled out a position here as well. Sheeped up. There's no hope for him. The wall does come out, but the vacuum doesn't accomplish enough. Now Bulba getting picked off. They might have to call it here. This is just too much loss. They did actually drop it on the CK, but he has the Aegis. They can force in on the bottom lane very quickly, and Liquid doesn't have too much that they can answer back with. It's 22-5. There's so much farm on everybody on Fnatic's lineup, even committing the buyback from Trixie. The only thing that's a threat is this Phantom Lancer, who has been, despite a heart, been picked off multiple times over. So that is very painful for them, and now we see the push going in on the mid lane, knowing the creeps are going to be back up shortly, but PL does pop off that buyback. They don't want to give this up just yet. They have the Vladimir's aura from the Brewmaster, counteracting what will be that Assault Cross in no time at all, and setting it up so TC can really just dish out a ton of damage quickly. Now looking to initiate on in, it's actually going to be Arrow just shredding through Keeper Light. Mike just doesn't stand a chance without a Ghost after buying back himself for some long-range illuminates, maybe just a simple Blinding Light, but Fluff pull back in, and another casualty of war. Tani just keeps on sheeping everybody the Era just goes fishing for. He hooks them on in with that Reality Rift, and there's really no hope. They do pop off this Primal Split, but the Fire Panda already down. The Wind to follow next, and now the Earth Panda is going to drop as well. That's a dead Brew, and I don't believe he has the buyback. No, they don't have any more buybacks available. This team fight just hasn't worked for them, and without a wall replica, it's already over. TC going to try his hand, but with this Orchid, and even one more stun lockdown, though, yeah, Blink Sheep from Hani, they are going to be able to bring him down as well. So good game has been called. Just too much for them to handle, and that is going to be it for Liquid. We're going to go on to Game 3, hopefully with an active stream. I'll try to figure out exactly what I can. In the meantime, I'm probably going to take a little bit of an extended break. So for those in Dota TV, if you don't see the game up within the next 4 or 5 minutes, don't panic. Going to probably take like a, let's say, 8-minute break before we have Game 3 coming out. But either way, Fnatic playing very strong in this regard, coming on out with a 27 to 5 kill advantage, and of course just dominating throughout their global gank script. This is the kind of a game that they love to play. They love to play actively, they love to play very gank oriented, and with a lot of range of initiation, and that was denied to them the game 1. Now they're showing flexing their esport muscles with this in game 2. So nice action, and we see them pretty much just freely cleaning up the enemy base without losing a single hero. Ultra kill for Trixie, no less. So just showing their power and piping up the Corey in that respect. Anyways, that has been very well played to all of them here. I gotta say, I really got to hand it to No Tail for handling the wards so much that Cinderin could move in towards those big teamfight utility items, like the mech, like the pipe. But either way, really nice play from them, and that is going to be it for Game 2. We're going to be looking at Game 3 in this best of 3 series, as they're now tied up 1-1. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this commentary. Sorry about that issue with Twitch, and we'll figure it out as soon as possible. But in the meantime, you guys get a drink, whatever you need. We'll be back in about 8 to 10 minutes with Game 3 between Fnatic versus Team Liquid. Awesome game.